Now the next method that we're going to go over is the treat method. And again, as I said in the beginning, there are a million different ways that we can go over loose leash walking, and just like that, there are a million different treat methods that we could go over. This particular one is going to be the easiest one for me, especially because she's a small dog. So that's why I have this spoon, so that I can scoop a little peanut butter and I don't have to bend down as much. So, we'll put that right there. Got a little bit of peanut butter here. You can see she's very focused. Now, what I'm gonna do with this is as I'm walking, I'm gonna keep her in that heel position and I'm going to lure her with the peanut butter. In the beginning, the first couple of tries that we start doing this, I'm gonna let her lick it while we're walking. But as we go forward and she becomes better and better, we're gonna slowly just start to use this as a lure technique, not necessarily as a treat while we're walking. So anyway, let's check this out. I have her sit. Girl. Girl, there we go. There we go. That's my good girl. I know. That's my good girl. Got a little peanut butter stuck on the roof of her mouth. So as you saw, I was simply luring her alongside me as we took our few steps, and then I turned around. The same principle applies as the last method, whereas we don't want the dog to know where we're going. We want them to always have to look to us for direction. So even though we weren't pulling, she wasn't pulling, that caused us to turn around, we still want to make those random turns, go left, go right, go backward, just again so that she keeps an eye on us. You'll also note that at several points while we were walking, she started to jump because she got so excited. In those moments, if you rewind the video, you'll see I offered a verbal correction when she did it. I said, and then I slowed my pace. And the reason for that was I wanted to interrupt that jumping, that train of thought. I wanted to interrupt that in some way and get her focus back on me instead of just on the peanut butter, because that was the root of the jumping. She was trying to get to the peanut butter. So I would have to slow down or even stop completely and get her focus back on me. Usually I can do that by offering a replacement behavior. At one point you saw she jumped, I came almost to a stop, and I had her sit down. Again, like with any other behavior modification, we correct, we redirect, and we praise. So even in this exercise, she jumped, I offered her that correction, I redirected her with a more appropriate behavior, which was sitting down, and then I praised the positive. And in this situation, the praise was that we got to continue on our walk. That was her reward. Now, the key when it comes to loose leash training, and indeed with any sort of obedience training, is going to be the fact that the dogs learn best through association. That's just how they learn. So if they're learning that their job is to walk politely by our side, then we shouldn't ever reach the point of having pulling and all of that stuff. The most important thing to remember when it comes to loose leash walking is that the actual length of the leash, that's more of an emergency brake. If the dog should happen to take off, you have the entirety of the leash for him to run, but you're still holding on to the end and they will have to stop. But our actual goal when it comes to the leash is to not have to utilize all of it. As I mentioned, that small knot in the leash that lets us know where the dog should be. And that's because, just like with any tool, they are meant to be utilized and then ultimately disposed of. Our ultimate goal is to not need the leash. It's to be able to get rid of the leash. Obviously, in our current society, we have to have leashes on our dogs, but our goal is to make that not necessary. So if we go outside, if the door is open, anything of that sort, the dog knows where they're supposed to be. There's no questioning. One of the things that I always tell my clients is that dogs are not robots. We can't just stick a chip in them and download the behaviors and the obedience training into them. We have to actually put in the work and the effort and the repetitions in order to make them understand what we're asking. And the beginning portion of that is going to be what I showed you outside, those different methods of getting the dog into the mindset of their position being right next to you in that heel position. So, to recap, in this video, we went over two different methods of loose leash walking. We went over the leash method, which is simply named such because we're utilizing the leash when we turn around and walk away. And then we also went over the treat method, named such because we're utilizing the spoon with the peanut butter or a treat in order to lure the dog and get them to figure it out on their own. If we are using larger dogs, or rather if we have larger dogs, instead of using peanut butter, it might be a little bit more advantageous to use a treat. And I've mentioned it in our past video about different reward systems, and I've mentioned it in all of my obedience videos, actually. When we are giving the treat, we're not actually giving it to them until they've performed the behavior that we're asking. In that situation, if we're using an actual treat, an actual dog treat, we're still going to utilize that same method of letting them lick it, letting them try and get it in between your fingers, and just giving them a little taste of what's in your fingers. And then once you've walked 5 or 6 feet or however long, then you can stop and you can give them the treat. One little tip that I like to throw in there is every single time that I stop walking, I automatically ask for a sit. And that's, like I've said in previous videos, there's no set order that you have to work on obedience, but when it comes to loose leash walking, it does help if the dog already has a basis for sit, so that we can have that automatic sit, and we can know that if we should happen to stop walking, we see someone on the street or something of that sort, the dog automatically knows their job is to sit down, not to go greet that person. So thank you for watching this video on loose leash walking. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know in the comments below. As always, please smash that like button, go ahead and click that red subscribe button, and join me on this journey of some minor dog training where I teach you how to train yourself to better train your dogs.